I would love to see the end of identity politics in my lifetime. I know, wishful thinking, but a girl can dream. Now, let me just give you a recap or just a brief synopsis in the event that you don't know what I'm talking about. So Jordan Neely, a black man, okay, this is very important for context later on. He was killed in a subway station, on a subway train, due to a chokehold, okay? So I guess from what reports say, this guy, Jordan, he was having a moment on the train. He was threatening other passengers, saying things to the effect of he didn't care if he died, he was ready to go to jail. Clearly, the rhetoric of someone who is struggling mentally. Psychologically, there's something that's off about this individual, and he's making various threats to people. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever ridden a subway before. There are some interesting people on there. So it's understandable why people felt threatened. And so apparently there was this guy named Daniel Penny who was on the train, and he, as well as another man, tried to subdue Jordan. And specifically, Daniel put Jordan in a headlock, and Jordan passed away as a result. Now, I have a feeling you know how this story is going to turn out. White man, black man, it must be racism. And that is exactly what everyone is talking about. Because apparently this court proceeding already took place, and Daniel was found not guilty. And all the race hustlers are very upset about this. Now, I want to, before I show you some of the responses from the public, I want to just read you really quickly one of my favorite quotes from Booker T. Washington. I always recommend people pick up his book, Up From Slavery. But here's the quote. It says, "There is another class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, and the hardships of the Negro race before the public. Having learned that they are able to make a living of their troubles, they have grown into the settled habit of advertising their wrongs, partly because they want sympathy and partly because it pays. Some of these people do not want the Negro to lose his grievances because they don't want to lose their jobs." I mean, how clear as day could that possibly be? Like seriously. So, you know what? Let's take a look at some of the responses from various people online. Let's start with the NAACP, which is, to me, it's a communist front. And the NAACP, they say the acquittal of Daniel Penny in the death of Jordan Neely has effectively given license for vigilante justice to be waged on the black community without consequence. It's a painful reminder of the inequities in our justice system. Jordan deserved compassion. Instead, he was met with, I don't even know what the rest of it was because this was a screenshot, but see, this is what I'll say. I'll say this, okay? You guys don't actually care about Jordan. You don't care about black people. You care about the self-aggrandizement you get from pretending that you care about black people. Because here's another tweet from Black Lives Matter. We remember how BLM went. Okay, so let's zoom in. Let's zoom in here. "We need a world where empathy replaces fear and where compassion replaces violence." Oh, that's rich. That's so rich coming from you. "And where no one's humanity is up for debate. Jordan Neely deserved more. His life, like all black lives, held infinite worth." That's so interesting. Black Lives Matter. But do you care about unborn black babies? I already know the answer to that. Black lives don't matter. They don't. You only care when it's a white cop killing a black man or a white man in general killing a black man. But you guys have normalized death, black death specifically. Black babies? Yeah. You don't care about those black babies. Why? It's a woman's right to choose. Black on black crime? Oh yeah, right. It doesn't exist. It only exists when it's politically and financially convenient for you. I already know the answer to that. The acquittal of Daniel Penny in the murder of Jordan Neely is a painful reminder of a long-standing reality. vigilante violence against black people often goes unchecked. Jordan deserved compassion, not violence. We stand with his loved ones in demanding accountability. Now, let me pause really quickly because you will hear as we go through all of these things that I have gathered for you, this ongoing theme of where was the compassion? Where was the compassion for someone who was struggling mentally, spiritually? Where was the compassion for them? I could literally ask the same question to you guys. All of you race hustlers online, where were you? Isn't it so interesting that all of the responsibility always falls back on the rest of society? These people love to get on their platforms and make these moral claims, these moral accusations about where was the compassion? Where were you? Oh, yes, that's right. Making policies, promoting policies that end up hurting the very communities that you claim to care about. That's where you were. That's where your compassion was. In this utopian fantasy you create in your head. That's where it was. All right, so let's look at some video clips, okay? Let me get my headphones on and just listen to some of the things that people are saying online, all right?
So Daniel Penny was found not guilty of killing Jordan Neely. All I have to say is the American justice system is fucked up. Daniel Penny literally put this man in a chokehold for more than a minute.
What would you prefer that he do? Hold his hand? Okay, I will agree with this individual and say, yes, the justice system is messed up, which is why I like to focus on eternal justice, because unfortunately, a lot of people who do evil things in this lifetime will walk away scot-free, okay? That's just the reality. There is no true justice in this present earth that we are living in. But in any case, would you rather him hold his hand? You know, it's, again, I always find it fascinating when these people try to say, well, I would have done this and you should have done that. And no one knows how they would have reacted unless they were there at that particular moment.
Literally, people were like, let him go, let him go, let him go, let him go. And he would not let him go. I am just tired of America. I'm tired of the corrupt system. I'm tired of these people getting away with crimes. I'm tired of it. And I don't want to hear that Jordan Neely have 42 charges when Donald Trump has over 50 charges on his records. I don't want to hear it.
Yo.
America, do better.
Yo.
I am actually really sad and disgusted with the system. And it's time, y'all. It's time for us to go to war. I said what I said.
Time for what? What do you mean go to war for what? What do you mean? Your inner cities are always at war with itself. What are you talking about? I'm so sick of the identity politics. I just cannot. I'm sorry, guys. It just annoys the crap out of me. It does. These people cannot formulate a coherent sentence without bringing up Donald Trump. Everything falls back on Donald Trump. Everything. TDS is real. As a survivor of TDS, I can tell you it is real. So let's address what he said about how Jordan Neely had 42 charges. Yeah, he is absolutely correct. I don't know if that's the exact number, but at the time, this guy had open warrants. He had many cases involving assault on women, on elderly people, on children, theft, larceny, just a bunch of things. Now, you could argue that those crimes weren't proportionate to the treatment he received, okay? And this is what I'll say about that. Number one, I don't think it was Daniel's intention to put Jordan in a headlock to the point that he would die. The point of a headlock was to subdue him, okay? I think we can agree, if we're looking at this objectively, what cold-blooded killer would stick around at the scene of the crime if all they wanted to do was just to kill someone? That, you know, it doesn't make any sense to me. So that's number one. But number two, regardless of if you feel like the crimes Jordan committed were proportionate to his demise, that doesn't negate the fact that all of these things put him in a situation to welcome that in the first place. If you are on a train and you start threatening people saying, I'm ready to die, I'm ready to go to jail today, You are inviting a certain response, regardless if you think it was fair or proportionate. It doesn't matter. You are inviting a response. Now, let's flip the script for a second and let's just assume it wasn't a train and it was a plane. Let's say you are flying in the air and some random passenger gets up and says, "I'm ready to die today." And you're going to tell me that you wouldn't react in a similar fashion? I find that hard to believe. Oh, yes, I do. Careful, brother. Some random white side may come up and put a fatal chokehold on you. After all, the cheapness of black life was affirmed in New York the other day. I think this correlates to, there was a post here. Where was it? Oh, yes. So apparently Jordan Neely was a street performer. He was a Michael Jackson impersonator. And so the argument here is that if you're just breakdancing, you're performing, someone might come up and just, kill you for no reason. So was he performing when he was put in the chokehold? Is that what you're saying? He was just being an innocent performer? No, he wasn't. Stop. Okay, and so let's take a look at this one right here from Bishop Talbert Swan. America just affirmed that it remains a place where legalized lynchings of black people are still acceptable, justified, and celebrated. A white civilian can choke a black person to death on a crowded subway, and no one will intervene, nor will anyone hold them accountable. Where's this energy when a black civilian chokes another black civilian on a New York subway? Where is that energy? I already know it doesn't exist. But isn't this always interesting? They'll pull up these pictures and say he was just an innocent street performer. That might have been one of his talents, but he had more things going on than just being a street performer. And again, don't take this as me saying that this guy deserved to die. Absolutely not. I believe in mercy and I believe in justice, not social justice, Marxist justice that's rooted in identity politics, because that's not justice. I believe in real justice and real mercy and real compassion, not this fake compassion of, oh, we care about black lives when it involves someone who doesn't look like us. If it's just us killing each other, who cares? Turn a blind eye. It's part of our culture. Black excellence or whatever you want to say. I'm just so annoyed. All of this performative activism on the internet does absolutely nothing except make you look like a fool. You're using this poor guy who clearly had something psychologically and spiritually going on with him. He had problems. You're using him as a platform for more race hustling in the same way that happened with George Floyd, that happened with Breonna Taylor, that happened with literally any other person that the BLM Marxist organization latched onto. You guys don't care about black lives. You don't. Saying that you do and putting up your fist and making all of these stupid statements online only proves that you only care about them when they're dead. Unless, of course, you're sacrificing black babies on the altars of reproductive health care, which from your perspective, they weren't alive to begin with, which begs the question, what are you actually terminating with these pregnancies? But I guess that's neither here nor there. But anyways, here's the other thing that I want to bring up, because this is a very important part to this puzzle, okay? Daniel Penny is now facing a new legal hurdle in the chokehold death, the civil lawsuit brought by Jordan Neely's absentee father. I don't know the specifics of their relationship, but what I do know is that Jordan Neely was in the foster system. His mother was murdered when he was a child, and he was put in the foster care system, and it was only until he was 18 years of age that he moved in with his dad. And from what I'm gathering, it was a very brief living situation. He was constantly kicked out. So again, without knowing the specifics of their relationship, objectively, we can agree, at least I hope we can agree, that there is an importance of strong households. You need a strong household. Specifically, you need strong fathers. You need present fathers. And clearly, Jordan didn't have one. He was put in the system, no father, until he was already 18, until the basics, the foundation of what a child needs to be raised correctly, until that was already long gone. That time already passed. So now, where was his father? Oh yes, you're only around when it's time to get paid. And who knows, maybe he feels guilty. Maybe he actually feels some sense of responsibility for not being active in his child's life. That's a possibility. But me thinks this is more about payday, because you filing this suit isn't going to bring your child back. Where was everyone when this person was alive and this person was struggling and this person was going down the wrong path? Oh, that's right. You were too busy making excuses for other people's poor life decisions. That's where you were. You want to talk about compassion? I fail to see the compassion in lying to someone about the choices they willingly make. Instead of calling it what it is, you instead take the consequences of their actions and then you blame it on the white man, or capitalism, or systemic racism, or microaggressions. There's no compassion in that, because you're not allowing someone to learn from their mistakes and to change. You're diluting the choices that they make and instead blaming it on the world. There's no compassion in that. You know, another example I can give you, I sometimes watch body cam footage, like the police body cam footage. And ever since the George Floyd incident, whenever a cop picks up a black suspect who is clearly committing a crime, the common thing that you hear in these body cam footage is them screaming, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe." Where did that come from? Is that a natural response, or did they learn that from somewhere else? And I've watched a lot of them, by the way, and it's very frequent. So where did they pick that up from? And where do you think people within the black community pick up all of these stupid behaviors and then rationalize it because I'm oppressed? I'm a black man in America. I'm a black woman in America. We are being lynched in the streets. Oh my goodness. You guys are exhausting. You want to talk about freedom? There is no amount of freedom you will find if you refuse to lay down the bondage of the psychological enslavement that you have put yourself in. You can't blame all of your problems on the white man, or your trauma, or your mental health, or your current circumstances, or the historical context of black people in America. Grow up. Honestly, that's all I got to say about this, because like I said, I would love to see a day where identity politics ceases to exist. But I know that's never going to happen. I know, because a lot of people have made skin color their god. That is their god. They bow down and worship at the altars of the NAACP and BLM, and that's it. But I can dream. A girl can hope, and I'm going to pray on it. But you know, if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe button. And if you haven't seen my documentary, it's on Amazon Prime Video. Please share it with someone that you think needs to see it. You know, if you know any black leftists out there, show them the documentary, and maybe it will help wake them up, as I once did. Yes, like I said, I used to have some TDS, and I was a little bit on the cray-cray side. But anyways, my name is Vanessa. You may know me as Gothix, and I'll see you in the next one.